I'm Keri Murphy, and welcome to Spotlight, where we showcase phenomenal entrepreneurs and their stories. You know, have you ever been on the freeway on your way to work and you're sitting there asking yourself, why am I driving to this location once again? Why am I going to this job I don't like? What am I doing with my life? What is my purpose? Am I doing what I'm really called to do? Trust me, you're not alone with these thoughts. In fact, probably half of Americans have the same internal dialogue every day. But you know what the great news is? That there are people like my amazing host today that can help you through it. I am sitting down with Laurel Rutledge, who is a career transformation expert and the host of the amazing podcast, The Rutledge Perspective. Laurel, welcome to Spotlight.
Yay!
I'm so excited to have you because I know that this conversation is one that over half of Americans have. And I wouldn't even say Americans. I think you know, the average person at some point in their career life will say, why am I doing this?
Why am I doing
Why?
this? Why?
So tell me why you are doing this. Give us a little bit of your background, because you have over 30 years of different positions in corporate, and you've had quite the career transformation journey yourself.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story. I left to start my own business because I just got tired. I just walked into the office one day and thought, why am I here again? And why am I not feeling good? And why haven't I slept on a Sunday for 5 years?
Right.
And I thought, that's not what life is supposed to be. And there's so much more, and I have a greater purpose to serve other people. And so let me just do that instead.
And I love that because, again, like you're like, okay, there's got to be something else. I want to help more people. If I feel this way, there's a lot more people that feel this way. And your background is actually in HR.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
give me a little bit of
spent
that.
about 15 years in HR, and I call myself a little bit of a mutt. I mean, I have an undergrad in accounting, I've got an MBA, and I've been very lucky to do a lot of things, but it all comes full circle. When you have hindsight, I always wanted to be a therapist. That's what I wanted to do. And it was not necessarily about the therapy, but it was about understanding where people were and what their stories were and how to help them work through issues. And in HR, while there's the tactical stuff, what it really is about helping companies really get the best out of that human capital asset. And so it really seemed to work through this whole crazy career trajectory to wind up in HR, and that being the thing that catapulted me now to doing what I'm doing.
So from that perspective,
yes,
all the pun intended, what did you see from the HR perspective, working with so many different people within a corporation, within C-suite? Like,
sure.
When you found that disassociation or that lack of zest, what was it? Can you put your finger on? Was it a particular thing or climate?
Yeah, you know, it's different for everyone. So I would say for me, it became a big disconnect between the values of the organization and my personal values. And you're never going to really have values that are completely 100% aligned with you until you have your own business.
Right.
And that doesn't mean you don't
it's
fit. Not at all. I'm a witness. But if you are feeling so much disconnect on a daily basis, we all have choices. And so what I found in HR and being in HR for so long was there are really great people and great companies, but often it's not about the individual not being the right person or the company doing something wrong. It's that it just doesn't fit.
Right.
And so I found myself having lots of conversations that were developmental conversations that really turned around to, wait a minute, the person's just not in the right job, or this is really not the right environment for them, as opposed to they're just not working out.
Right.
They just don't have the skills. And 9 times out of 10, it was about fit.
Yeah, that is so great because it is often that it's not the person.
Right.
It's not the actual human collateral that's the problem.
Right.
It's where they are within the organization.
Exactly.
And I think that we get to a certain place, Laurel, and you can attest to this too, where you're climbing up the ladder and you feel like, if I get here, right? If I just get here. What was your personal experience with kind of like charting up that ladder and then finding yourself at the top going, this isn't where I thought I was going?
You know, one of the things I've talked to some really good friends of mine about is we tend to do what we say we're supposed to do, but who gets to define what we're supposed to do? And so I was supposed to get a job and go to work and get a paycheck. I was supposed to do better and climb the ladder and get the VP job. That's what I was supposed to do. And nowhere in those supposed tos and shouldas and couldas and betters is anything related to what your gifts
What
are.
do I want
and
to
what
do?
do I want to do?
Yeah.
And how do I want to serve? And so for me, it just got to the point where I thought, no one should be this exhausted. And I loved being an executive, right? But as I thought about it, it was really more about, yes, I'm an executive, so people are going to listen. It opens you up to possibilities. You get to meet people that you wouldn't necessarily get to meet at lower levels of the organization. And yet, it is very lonely at the top, and nobody tells you that.
Right, especially as a woman,
Yes.
I would think,
Yes.
and a minority. Like, it was,
Yes.
how did you ever feel like, I'm the only one in the room?
I was most of the time the only one in the room.
Really?
The only one who looked like me, the only one who felt like me, the only one who had a specific perspective of mine. And that doesn't make it better or worse, that just makes it different.
Right.
And what I found was, if you're always in that cognitive dissonance, if you're always in that code switch, that is really exhausting.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right?
It's really exhausting, and it's not always intentional. There's all kinds of bias, and all of us have bias. When you're in an environment where you cannot show up authentically as you, where you cannot be who you are not bringing all of your gifts to the table.
And you're never truly happy.
Never.
You're never fulfilled because
No.
you're always feeling like you have to leave part of you,
Right.
In the car.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between that need to do what you got to do to you can do what you want to do.
Right.
We all get there.
I
We
love
all-
that. And it doesn't matter in what sort of organization, even if
Yes.
it's your own, you got to do what you got to
gotta
do
do.
to get where you want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we all know there's a certain level of assimilation, a certain level of conforming that we all have to do.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But when that is the only way you're existing, for me, it just got to the point where when I'd spend time with family, I wasn't present. I was tired. I didn't get to see friends that I really loved and wanted to connect with. And again, I just finally decided, it was Christmas of 2016. I said, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? And I had my dad's in my head, voice in my head that said, you really, if you have a good name, even when you have nothing, you have everything. And I thought,
Okay, wait. When you have a good name, even when you have nothing, you have everything. When you know who you are, when you know what you bring, you can recreate, reinvent at any time.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is such a juicy
Absolutely.
takeaway.
Yes.
That as long as you know you and you're good to you,
Yes.
right? Then you
Yeah.
can create
absolutely.
whatever it is that you want.
Absolutely. And we get caught up in making sure we're present for everyone else, and especially as women.
Yep, sure.
Making sure you're there for everyone else. And that's great, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. And there's a reason on the airplane they tell you to put your mask on first.
Right.
If you're not taking care of you, you can't take care of everyone else.
Yeah.
And I just decided that I was more important than the title. I was more important than the job. And even in some respects, I was more important than the team that I built. And I loved this team. I worked really hard to get them there. And they're fantastic, fantastic people. And I was trying to lead them from completely empty.
Right.
And it wasn't fair to them.
You can't. Right?
I can't.
Yeah. So when people come to you, where are they most of the time? When you're working with someone through this career transformation, are they looking to navigate through the corporate ladder? Are they looking to go out on their own? Is it a little bit of both? Share that person with me.
It tends to be a little bit of both. The person I'm working with has been really successful. They have been along a path that they thought was the path they wanted, and all of a sudden something just isn't feeling right. And usually that's not fair. It's not usually all of a sudden. It usually is gradual.
Right. We've known for quite some time.
Right.
It hasn't been feeling right. Yeah.
But again, especially as women, we tend to think, I'm just not feeling well. It'll be okay.
Right.
And so when they come to me, it's really reached the point where they're like, this just isn't working, and I don't understand.
Right.
And the process for me is not about judgment. I'm not going to tell you what your job should be. I'm not going to tell you what company you should go to. This is all about you. What builds you up? What gives you strength? What is your foundation? What do you really want to do? Whatever that is. And then how do we figure out, does it work where you are and maybe it's just a different job? Is it time to do something different? Or is it time for you to, you know what? Let me just stay here a minute because I've got a plan.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, we work through that process so that you're no longer feeling overwhelmed. You're no longer feeling frustrated. And you know for a fact, you're not crazy.
I'm not
not
crazy.
crazy.
And what I love about what you bring to the table, Laurel, is that sometimes when you talk to family or you talk to friends, there's a loving bias that comes with that, right?
Yes.
Like, you just worked your way up. You just got your MBA. You just did this. You did this.
Yes.
That's not secure. Are you crazy? Right?
Absolutely.
And to be able to go to someone like you who is unbiased, who can look at the bigger picture, including like the values and the role and the organization, because you do have that HR background, I have to say, like, I think that you are so needed, because in my experience of working with hundreds of entrepreneurs, a lot of them have come from corporate, or, you know, they just need permission, right, to do what it is that they know they're already here to do. Right.
And the reality is, there are so many things to do, and no one can define your supposed tos except you.
You know how much I love that.
No one can do that. And we get caught up in what we know. And especially, you know, when I grew up, you go to work, you get a job, you get a paycheck. That's just how that works.
Right. And usually you get married, have a baby.
Well,
Yeah.
all of that craziness.
All of that, yeah.
You know, and I actually find, it's funny you said that, because I do find women who are also struggling with, well, I'm the single with no kids, and so they expect me to be there all the time, every day.
Right.
Like, I don't have
get
a life.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the women who have kids and they have a husband and aging parents, there's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and the noise, and as my trainer said, the head trash.
Yeah.
Right? And we get caught up in our own head trash. And the reality is, there are so many options. There's so many options. And for someone to be able to dig into what their purpose is and really tap into, you know, this really does work for me right now because these things are in my life right now.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Or this doesn't work for me, and I'm going to make a plan.
Right.
And I can make that plan and feel confident, so I can actually sit in the space that I'm in right now because I know it's on the other side.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not about necessarily leaving the job
No.
or leaving the career. It could just be a pivot within the organization
Exactly.
that says this role is not. Like, you thought you wanted to be in management, but let's face it, you don't like running teams.
Right.
Right? So let's take you back to a place where you thrive.
Right.
It's just
Yes.
that, because we feel like we need to get here. And when we get here, there's a new level of value and compensation. And sometimes we
Absolutely.
get there and we're like, you know, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
It's not. And
Then I think there's some guilt involved there too.
Yes.
Right? Because you're like, oh, but I worked this hard.
Yes.
And now I don't want it.
I'm a witness.
Right.
I mean, this was a big leap.
Yeah.
It was a big leap to do this. And I had those same experiences. I had probably 5% of the people that really knew me said, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is really the thing you should do. 95% of the people are like, are you crazy?
Right.
Do you know how much money you're making? Do you know what power you have?
Yeah.
Have? And it's because we're trained to go get a job and go get a paycheck. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And companies are great, and there's great experience there. And there are other options.
Yeah. I love that you've been through it all. I mean, when you look back at your career and all the things that you've done and accomplished, I feel like you really come to the table with this breadth of knowledge and understanding and empathy, right? Of really getting, you know, where they're at and helping them get out of the rut.
Absolutely.
And off the
back
ledge.
off that ledge.
Back off the ledge, honey. I mean, your name could not be more perfect.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the Rutledge Perspective here in a minute. But how do you work with people? And what's interesting is that when we were talking, you were also saying that millennials are really struggling right now. Like, you thought that you were going to be working with this demographic.
Right.
But let's face it, like, they come out of school, they feel like everything is easy and open and available.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize.
Right.
I didn't know me, and I don't know, you know, what I want. So
Absolutely.
how do people work with you? What is that experience like?
So for me, I always like to start with give yourself grace. Give yourself grace, because we put so much more pressure on ourselves than is necessary. And so my process is to take someone through what I call the Rutledge Perspective tree. So my logo is a tree, and it's a tree for a reason. And if you look at it, there's a woman in the tree, because for me, if you think about the way trees work, there's a great root system, your root ball, right? Where all of your energy comes from. What are those things that nourish you? For me, it's faith, family, and friends, right? And some other stuff. And then that kind of goes up through your trunk, right? How you get really strong. And then you're able to put out into the world and get back from the world those things that really matter, right?
Yep.
And so I take people through that to really get centered in what's important to them.
So you figure out the roots.
Figure out the roots.
Because if you don't know the roots, it's hard to grow.
And if you don't know, then everything's a possibility.
Right. Or nourish or all those other things.
Absolutely.
Right? We could do one tree cliche after another.
After
but I
another,
like it.
right. And it makes sense, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
the whole thing, are you a redwood? Are you a palm tree? Because there's characteristics of all of that, right? That play out in how you interact. And so then the next piece is ask someone to think about what you ideally want to do. Not what job you want. What do you want to do? And there's a difference.
We
talk about that in HR a lot.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I want to be a director or I want to be a VP. Okay,
yeah.
But what do you want to do, right? So then they take through that, and then the last thing I have people do is for the next 5 days, and it's really important they take 5 days, is I want you to ask yourself why one time each day. So if this is my ideal job, why is that my ideal job? And answer that question and sit with that. And then the next day, ask, okay, why that answer is the answer. Because what happens is, while it's a manufacturing process, the Toyota process, it gets to your root cause. Why are you wanting what you want? Why do you feel the way you feel?
Level.
The deeper level.
Yeah.
And so, especially the millennials that I've been talking to lately, they also have all of this pressure about move, don't stay too long, but they're moving just to move. And there's something to be said for forward momentum. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not really thinking about why I'm moving,
right? What's causing the trajectory?
What's
am I
causing
doing it just
that?
because I feel like I have to?
Exactly.
Right,
And for me, it's all about no judgment. And even in that trajectory, if you saw my career, I couldn't have planned it.
Right.
Because I just said yes, because this didn't feel right, and somebody asked me to do something else, so I said yeah. That's why I wound up in Detroit. Don't do snow. But it's an ability to actually work all the way through to your root cause and your deeper purpose. And from there, the possibilities are endless.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. I think everyone needs a little Rutledge perspective in their life, and they can get it.
They can get it.
They can get it on your podcast,
Yes.
which, again, I love. So tell us a little bit about what the Rutledge Perspective is and what we can expect on the show.
So the Rutledge Perspective is a podcast that is weekly, and so I put a little piece out every week, and it really gets to those little short tidbits about how to maneuver through what's going on today. So there'll be things about knowing who are the people that are really on your team that you've hired, and who's on your team, the people who have your back.
Right.
And those are the people who will tell you good, bad, and ugly.
Team, right?
That's a different team, right? It's about that you always have a choice, because companies will often make employees think they don't have a choice. Are you kidding me? You can't want to leave. What do you mean you want to leave?
And leave all this?
Are you serious? And so it's little pieces like that to give you some strength, to give you some perspective on all of the things that are occurring, because nothing is black and white. There are always shades of gray.
Yes.
And you get to pick your shade of gray for that day.
Yeah.
And so the whole purpose of the Rutledge Perspective is to truly give you a different perspective about something you may be experiencing that may just take the temperature down a little bit, get you out of that rut or that hamster wheel that you're turning, or talk you back off that ledge where you're ready to just not be real kind.
Right.
For lack of a better
like
word.
something's going to go down
Something
real soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So contact Laurel before you're on the ledge.
Please.
Right? And how do they do that?
So you can contact me through laurelrutledge.com. And you can also go through the Rutledge Perspective podcast, and that's on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. So wherever you get your podcasts, you can do that. And I enjoy helping people get to their purpose.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, because it's different for everyone. So come see me, laurelrutledge.com.
Yes, you can tell. It lights you up.
Yeah,
and this is just such a great example of how you can be lit up every day. Because when you're doing something that you truly love, you're excited about, it doesn't mean it's easy, right? But it means that you're truly in your life genius work, and you know where you're going, and you're not moving just to move.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you're
Absolutely.
moving with precision and purpose, and that creates fun, right? And I just see it in you, and I'm so excited people get to hear you and work with you. So go check out Laurel on wherever you download your podcast, the Rutledge Perspective. And again, remember, we got to get you out of the rut
and off
back
of that
off
ledge.
the ledge. So perfect, Laurel. Love you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Love you. Love what you're doing in the world. And thank you for watching this Spotlight interview. I hope you are inspired. If so, please make sure to subscribe and post your comments below, because when you are inspired, you inspire others. We want to hear from you and be a part of this really important conversation. And make sure to share this with someone that you care about, and download the Rutledge Perspective podcast so you don't miss an episode. As always, remember, that really at the end of the day, the choice is yours to be and create whatever it is that you truly desire. All you have to do is dream it, live it, and be it. Until next time.